Over the years, four heroes have come together. A man made of rock, a man who can set himself aflame, a man who can stretch just as much as plasticine, and a girl who can turn herself invisible and use kinetic force to move objects with her own will. These brave heroes have never always looked the same, but we know it's them. And so, once again, when the world needs them most, they are there and ready to fight on behalf of the people of Earth. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another film review. And today's film review is, of course, Fantastic Four: First Steps. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Fantastic Four: First Steps starts off rather different to every other Fantastic Four movie. Most of the other previous films are always trying to explain to us how they got their superpowers, what went wrong, and why their lives have become the way they are. In this film, however, we are introduced to Sue Storm, Johnny, and Mr. Fantastic, all getting on with their lives along with the Thing. Each and every individual in this film gets their moment of shine, and especially being one of, if not, in my opinion, the best Fantastic Four films. I feel like this really hit home on what the Fantastic Four stand for. After reminding us exactly what they've been through, we get to learn soon enough that pretty much their lives have been complicated since they got back to Earth. They've been trying to start a family, they are a family, and most importantly, they've been trying to stay together. Mr. Fantastic spends most of his days pretty much running his own TV show about science. Meanwhile, his other two buddies and his wife are pretty much just doing their everyday thing. His wife, however, in this has made a coalition/agreement with the Mole Man, surprisingly, and the Mole Man has agreed to pretty much stop making holes everywhere. So life for the Fantastic Four so far seems pretty good. Well, that's all until one Halloween. After finding out that Sue is pregnant, they go out into the city and find a woman on a silver surfboard, warning them of the Devourer. And so this sets everyone on edge. They decide to go into outer space and find out exactly who the Devourer is and what he wants. And of course the Devourer is none other than Galactus. Now, for anyone who hasn't watched the cartoons or hasn't watched the comic books, just a rough haul on exactly who Galactus is. He is an interdimensional cosmic being of so much power who pretty much devours planets. He eats them. Once in outer space and finding Galactus on his ship in the middle of who knows where, they find him devouring a planet. At first they don't notice the planet being devoured, so they find it very strange, but soon they watch as the planet is torn apart by Galactus and ravaged. The Silver Surfer lady pretty much introduces them to Galactus, and Johnny and her have a back and forth. Johnny thought that she was kind of having a flirt way back when, and now he's not so sure after her pretty much translating her words to him, saying that all it meant was rest easy. After coming face to face with Galactus and asking him exactly why he wants to devour Earth, they find themselves in a dilemma. It turns out that Galactus has only come to their planet because he has sensed the great power of Sue and Mr. Fantastic's baby. He wants that power for himself, and he wants to stop being hungry, so the only way to do it is to pass on his gift/curse onto the baby.
They don't want this to happen, and so they do everything they can to get back to the ship. Whilst back on the ship and trying to avoid the Silver Lady, they find themselves coming across this giant supernova as they pretty much do a light speed jump. After jumping through light speed and coming across this giant black hole, they manage to trap the Silver Surfer Lady in it for a split second, long enough for them to get back to Earth. When they turn back up on Earth, they have to explain exactly what's been going on, and they also have to admit the fact that they wouldn't give up their own child to save the human race. Now, this of course causes controversy between everyone on the planet, as they believe it's a bit of a selfish decision. Lo and behold, though, eventually the human race gets back on their side, and the Fantastic Four come up with an alternative plan. Their plan is to try and make the Earth hop between one part of the universe to another. Sadly, this plan fails, and Galactus eventually turns up. Their options are running out, and so Mr. Fantastic realizes that the only last plan they can do is to use the child as bait. They must first, though, get everyone underground and save them from Galactus. After Mole Man agreeing to put everyone up until the situation is resolved, the Fantastic Four find themselves on a cat and dog race as they try and lure Galactus in. But even though they thought they could outsmart Galactus by changing the pram, it doesn't work, and of course they find that they only have another option to do. Sue uses up as much of her power as possible, even though it's draining her, and starts pushing Galactus into the portal after Johnny activates it. The baby is then saved by Reed Richards and pretty much finds himself in a situation where they almost lose his brother-in-law, Johnny. Johnny starts to risk his life for life and limb for the child as he tries to push Galactus back into the portal after Galactus starts reaching out. With time running out, the Silver Lady jumps forward and pretty much pushes him into the portal with her, saving the human race. After Galactus is defeated and life on Earth has gone back to normal, they find themselves in a situation in which they prepare for the future. So what was my thoughts on this film? Well, I love it. I really like the kind of way that one of the teachers jokes about that the Thing could have just chucked the car at the school kids. That sort of dark humour was brilliant. I also like how Johnny tries to explain the translation that he keeps hearing in his head, and he tries to explain his interaction with the Silver Woman, and they kind of just take it as Johnny, you're into her. That was hilarious as well. Um, the origin and the way that the Silver Woman is portrayed is brilliant. I know most of us for years have known it as Silver Surfer as a guy, but the way that things are progressing in these films, I really like. It's a different angle, it's a different way of telling the story, and it's definitely a way to draw in a modern audience. There's always been variations in the comics, and that's what I've always loved whilst I read these comics. And this idea of them changing bits and pieces based on what they've been reading up on, I think is incredible. For the most part, I really loved Pedro Pascal in this movie and everyone else in the cast. They really made me feel like I was finally watching a Fantastic Four movie. And for that reason, I give this film a solid 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next film review. Until then, goodbye, stay beautiful, you gorgeous people.